Jerome Wallace with me this morning. Now, some of you may know his dad, who used to come up around the show during the Dan Wattell segments, James Wallace.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Jerome's here to talk about a nonprofit that he has started. First of all, tell me the name of the nonprofit.
The nonprofit is called the Angela Claxton Foundation.
And what exactly is that?
It's a foundation that I started after my mother. She was killed to domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
During that process, I was trying to focus on battered women.
Okay.
Well, when I started with the battered women, I noticed a lot of the women had kids. Mm-hmm. So it grew from me doing it for battered women, troubled youth. I do for the homeless, the elderly, and I just go around the city and different communities doing a lot of work in the community.
Let's talk about your mom just a moment, Angela, Miss Angela. Now, when did this happen?
This happened October 10th, 1993.
Okay, so in 93, you were how old?
I was 16 years old.
Were you present?
Yes.
So you saw, this was your stepdad?
Yes.
You saw your stepdad kill your mother?
Yes.
And was this an abusive household for you for a long time?
No, it started maybe the last 2 years of their marriage. And, you know, we all tried to help him out because he had a drinking problem. Mm-hmm. And he just lost it one day.
He just snapped one day. Now, when you say the abuse inside the family for those past 2 years, would it only be when he was drinking, or was he abusive when he was not drinking?
Well, it got to the point where he was always drinking.
Okay.
You know, you could count the times he was sober versus the time he was drunk, you know.
Being a 16-year-old and seeing your mother harmed in that way has got to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Did you ever try to intervene?
Well...
Or was he a big man?
No, he wasn't a big man. The actual day that he actually did the shooting, we were all at home, my grandmother and everything, and I actually got my grandfather's gun and tried to shoot myself, but the gun wouldn't fire. And, you know, that was just my way of getting the blessing that it was time for me to stand up and do something for this problem.
It's a lot to do when you're, being in a little experience being in an abusive household, especially with an alcoholic father, it's very difficult on the children to not want to step in and do something.
Yes.
But how traumatic it would have been had you shot him that day.
Yes.
A lot for a 16-year-old to carry on with. Now, the day that he did shoot your mother, you said that he had gone to church.
Yes.
And he was sober.
Yes.
And he just went over there and shot her.
She was actually getting ready to, that day he actually murdered her, she was getting ready to move into her apartment. And we were all waiting on my uncles to come to help us move.
Right.
Well, he had been across the street from where my grandmother lived, and he was watching every car that left out, and he seen her brothers leave. That's when he made his move.
Do you think, in your opinion, abusers like that, do they change?
You have some that change. A lot of times, it's always the same excuse. You know, I'm only hitting you because I'm stressed. You know,
you made me do it.
Yeah, you made me do it.
It's always the victim's fault.
Yes, but the ones who actually do change, you can count them on maybe one hand.
And it takes a big moment to get them to change. Like your stepfather was arrested, convicted.
Yes.
How many years did he get?
He got 20 years.
Now, you said you formed a relationship with him while he was in prison? What made you want to contact him once he was in prison?
Well, to be honest with you, at first, you know, because my stepfather, he raised me, you know, and he even adopted me and gave me his last name.
Okay.
So I thought that he would never do something like this. The actual morning that he actually killed my mother, he hugged me and told me, "I love you, I never do nothing to hurt you." But then 5 minutes later, he did this. And
not thinking killing your mother was hurting you.
Right. But when I gained the relationship back with him, you know, I was like, I'm doing what my mother would do.
Forgive.
Yes. And
And and forgiving is not just for that person, it's for you.
Well, yes,
It is for you.
Yes, because I had to pray about it, and it was
It wasn't
hard.
an overnight thing, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it was very hard, and it got to the point I was just following God.
Doing what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you speak, obviously you speak to him still?
Well, I did. He actually passed away 2 years ago,
Okay.
but I went to the funeral and everything.
All right. For such a man to get up here and do what you're doing, it's very admirable. You lost your mother, your father, your biological father has
Yes.
since passed away too. The man who raised you, stepfather who killed your mother, has passed away too. And now you're wanting to further it and help people more.
Yes.
How can people get involved with your nonprofit?
I'm on Facebook. I have a page on Facebook, the Angela Claxton Foundation.
Okay.
I'm setting up a website now, and it's just basically just go on Facebook, either look me up, Jerome Wallace, or either the Angela Claxton Foundation, and it gives a story about my mother, how I got started, everything.
What do you do? What are you doing for people?
Well, one thing that I did this year, I do it every year, I do a back to school drive.
Okay.
Last year, I was able to help 6 kids.
Great.
This year, I was able to help 300 kids.
Super.
Everything that I do, it comes out of my pocket. I have no sponsors, nothing. Everything, I work for it, and I pay for it myself.
So you could use some sponsors. You can, if this is an organization or you know anybody that's been abused, it's hard for me to even imagine people that don't know someone who's been in a domestic violence situation. Why do people tend to want to make excuses for that abuser?
I guess you have a lot of people, because domestic violence is both women and men. You have some men that get abused too.
By women.
But I think what it comes from is the fact of they're scared. You have more people scared, to talk about the situation and what's going on in the household. And they feel like, okay, I'm going to give him one more chance, or I'm going to give her one more chance. She's going to change. She told me she was going to change. And then it'll be like the situation that I went through.
Right.
My stepfather was telling my mother he was going to change. And, then the day he killed her, it was over with. A lot of people.
Just like that.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand domestic violence is a disease. It's, if you hit a person one time, you're going to keep on. Unless you seek some serious help.
There's help out there. I hope people take advantage of that. 326-9777 is Jerome's phone number. Contact them. That's the Angela Claxton Foundation. You can find out more on his Facebook page. And if this is something close to your heart or you'd like to get involved with, contact him and see how you can help him out. Jerome, thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Sheriff Blakely's here. He's going to talk about his kickoff coming up. You won't want to miss it. He says it's going to be like an old-fashioned one. We'll talk more in just a moment. Stay with us.